I was closing the pharmacy section when I found the note. It was tucked inside a prescription bag, written in shaky handwriting. He's been watching you for 3 weeks. He knows your schedule. He knows your car. Tonight, he's going to follow you home. Leave through the back exit. Now, my name is Rachel. I'm 23, and I work overnight stock at a Target in a town called Millbrook, just outside of Richmond, Virginia. This happened in late September of 2019. Back then, the store closed at midnight, but stock crews stayed until 4 a.m. to prep for the morning shift. That particular Tuesday night, there were only 4 of us working. Me in the pharmacy and health section, 2 guys doing grocery, and 1 person up front doing returns. The store had closed at midnight, doors locked, lights dimmed in the shopping areas. Just us and the hum of the overhead lights. I'd been working there for 8 months. Same shift, same section, same routine. Park in the employee lot around 11:45 p.m. Clock in. Spend the next 4 hours moving boxes and restocking shelves while listening to true crime podcasts. It was boring, but it paid rent. Around 12:30 a.m., I was organizing the vitamin aisle when I noticed something off. One of the security cameras in my section was pointed directly at me. Not at the merchandise. At me. These cameras are supposed to be fixed on high-theft items, but this one had clearly been moved. I could see my reflection in the black dome. Someone had adjusted it recently. I told myself it was probably just store security doing random checks. But then I remembered, our store didn't have active monitoring at night. The cameras only recorded. No one was watching live feeds at this hour. I tried to shake it off and kept working. About 20 minutes later, I went to the back stockroom to grab more boxes. The stockroom at Target is massive, poorly lit, and filled with rows of metal shelving that go up to the ceiling. I grabbed my cart and started loading boxes of cold medicine and first aid supplies. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Not the heavy work boots of my coworkers. These were different. Lighter. Slower. Deliberately quiet. I stopped moving. The footsteps stopped too. I called out. David? Marcus? That you guys? No response. I grabbed my box cutter from my pocket and kept it in my hand as I wheeled the cart back toward the main floor. As I turned the corner between 2 shelving units, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Fresh, muddy footprints. Leading from the emergency exit door, which was supposed to be locked and alarmed, straight to where I'd just been standing. Someone had come in from outside. Someone who wasn't supposed to be there. I left the cart and walked quickly back to the main store floor. I found David, one of the grocery stockers, working in the cereal aisle. Did you see anyone come through the back? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He pulled out his earbuds. What? Someone came in through the emergency exit. I saw footprints. He laughed. Probably Marcus taking a smoke break. He props that door open all the time. The footprints came in, not out. David shrugged. Maybe a manager forgot something. Don't stress. He put his earbuds back in and went back to work. I wasn't convinced. I walked back to my section, and that's when I saw the second note. This one was taped to the pharmacy counter, right where I'd be standing to work. Same handwriting. Don't go to the stockroom alone anymore. He's been hiding in there, watching you work, waiting for you to notice him. Check the top shelf in aisle B7. You'll see what I mean. My hands were shaking as I held the note. B7 was deep in the stockroom, the darkest section, where they kept overstock furniture and seasonal items that barely ever moved. I should have left right then. Called the police. Told my supervisor. But I needed to know. I needed to see what was up there. I grabbed a flashlight from the equipment closet and walked back into the stockroom. The fluorescent lights above flickered as I made my way to section B7. The shelving here went up at least 20 feet. I shined my light upward. On the top shelf, pushed back into the shadows, I saw something that didn't belong. A blanket. A pillow. Empty food wrappers. Water bottles. A phone charger plugged into an extension cord running down the side of the shelving. Someone had been living up there. But that wasn't the worst part. Taped to the inside of the top shelf were photographs. Dozens of them. All of me. Me walking to my car in the employee parking lot. Me getting coffee at the break room. Me working in the pharmacy section. Me sitting in my car before my shift, looking at my phone. Some of these photos went back weeks. Maybe months. In the corner of the makeshift nest was a notebook. I didn't want to touch it, but I needed to see. I climbed up 3 shelves, reached for the notebook, and flipped it open. Pages and pages of my schedule. My routine. Notes about my life. She always parks in the 3rd row. She leaves her car unlocked when she runs back inside for her badge. She lives alone. Apartment 4C. Leaves lights on when she's gone. No boyfriend. No dog. Works Tuesday through Saturday. The last entry, dated that very night, made me nearly fall off the shelf. Tonight, when she goes to her car, I'll be waiting in the back seat. I dropped the notebook and climbed down so fast I scraped my arm on the metal shelving. I ran back to the main floor, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I found David and Marcus together now, both working in the freezer section. I told them everything. Showed them the notes. They finally took me seriously. Marcus called our overnight manager, Kevin, who was doing paperwork in the office. Kevin immediately called the police and told us all to stay together in one area until they arrived. While we waited, Marcus went to check the emergency exit door. He came back 2 minutes later, pale as a sheet. "The door's not just unlocked," he said quietly. "The alarm's been disabled. Someone clipped the wires. This wasn't an accident." Police arrived within 10 minutes. 2 officers, both taking the situation seriously once they saw the photographs and the nest in the stockroom. They checked the security footage while we waited in the break room. Officer Chin came back with a grim expression. "We found him on the cameras," she said. "He's been entering through that emergency exit almost every night for the past month. Comes in around 1 a.m., leaves around 3:30 a.m., right before your shift ends. He's been timing it perfectly." "Who is he?" I asked. "We don't know yet. He's wearing a mask and keeps his head down. But here's the thing, he's not here randomly. He knows the security blind spots. He moves like he's familiar with the store layout." "You think he works here?" Kevin asked. "Or used to," Officer Chen said. "We're checking employment records now." That's when the lights went out. The entire store plunged into darkness. Emergency lights kicked in after a few seconds, casting everything in a dim red glow. Officer Chen immediately radioed her partner, who was still in the security office. No response. "Everyone stay here," she ordered, pulling out her flashlight and weapon. "Lock this door behind me." She left. We locked the door. Marcus, David, Kevin, and I sat in that break room in silence, listening to the sound of our own breathing and the distant hum of refrigerators. 5 minutes passed. No word from Officer Chin. Then we heard it. A voice over the store's PA system. Distorted. "Wrong. Rachel. I know you're scared. But you don't need to be. I've been protecting you. Watching over you. Making sure you're safe. Those notes? I wrote them. To warn you. About me. Because tonight I needed you to understand how much I care." Kevin tried the door. It wouldn't open. Someone had locked it from the outside. "Rachel, I disabled the cameras in this section. I cut the phone lines. It's just us now. Just like it was always supposed to be. I've been patient. So patient. But I can't wait anymore." The PA clicked off. Then we heard footsteps outside the break room door. Slow. Deliberate. A shadow passed under the gap at the bottom of the door. Someone was standing right outside. Marcus grabbed a chair and wedged it under the door handle. Kevin tried his cell phone. No signal. We were too deep in the building, surrounded by concrete walls. David noticed the air vent in the corner of the ceiling. We can get out through there. It leads to the main ventilation shaft. We didn't have a choice. Marcus boosted David up first, then me, then Kevin. Marcus was climbing up when the door handle started to turn. The chair held, but whoever was outside was pushing harder. The door began to crack. Marcus made it into the vent just as the door burst open. We crawled as fast as we could through the narrow shaft, not knowing where it led, just knowing we had to move. Behind us, we heard him enter the vent. He was following. The shaft split into two directions. Kevin pointed left. We followed. 20 feet later, we reached another vent opening. This one led to the electronics section. We kicked it open and dropped down into the darkened store. Red emergency lights barely illuminated the aisles. We ran toward the front entrance, but the automatic doors wouldn't open. They required power or manual override from the security office. The office, Kevin whispered. We need to get there and unlock the doors manually. We moved together through the store, past end caps and displays, everything looking sinister in the red light. Every shadow could be him. Every sound made us freeze. We reached the security office. The door was open. Officer Chen's partner was inside, unconscious but breathing, zip-tied to a chair. Kevin went for the door controls while Marcus untied the officer. David and I stood guard at the door. That's when I saw him, standing at the end of the aisle, 30 feet away, wearing all black, a mask covering his face. In his hand, something metal glinted in the red light. He started walking toward us. Not running, walking, like he had all the time in the world. Kevin, now! I screamed. I'm trying! The system's been locked out. The man was 20 feet away now. I could hear his breathing. Deep. Excited. David grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and stood in front of me. Stay back! He yelled. The man didn't stop. 10 feet. Then the lights came on. All of them. Bright fluorescence flooding the store. And standing behind the man were 6 police officers, weapons drawn. Officer Chen had made it outside and called for backup. They'd surrounded the building and entered through multiple points. The man turned, saw he was surrounded, and dropped whatever he was holding. It clattered to the floor. A knife. They tackled him, cuffed him, ripped off his mask. I didn't recognize his face at first. But Kevin did. That's Ryan Foster, Kevin said, shocked. He worked here 6 months ago. We fired him for following a female employee to her car. Ryan Foster was arrested that night. They found more evidence at his apartment, more photos of me, a detailed plan of how he was going to take me somewhere safe. Supplies he'd gathered. He'd been planning this for months. The previous employee he'd stalked had moved to another state and never reported him. If she had, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Officer Chen told me later that the original notes warning me, those weren't from Ryan. They were from someone else who noticed him stalking me. A customer who'd seen him in the parking lot multiple times. She'd been trying to warn me anonymously because she was too afraid to come forward. They never found out who she was. I quit that job the next day. I couldn't walk into that building without seeing him standing in the shadows, without wondering if someone else might be watching. I moved to a different city 2 months later. Got a new job. Daytime hours. Well-lit office. Security everywhere. But here's what haunts me most. The police checked how long Ryan had been entering the store through that emergency exit. The footage showed him coming and going for over 3 months. 3 months of him watching me work. 3 months of him sleeping in that nest above my head in the stockroom. And in all that time, he was never trying to stay hidden. He wanted me to notice. He wanted me to find the nest. To find the photos. To know he was there. Because the fear was part of his plan. The waiting was part of his game. And on that final night, when he finally made his move, he'd been so confident that I couldn't escape. He told me everything over the PA system. He'd been wrong. But the fact that he'd gotten that close, that he'd been that patient, that he'd studied every detail of my life for months without anyone noticing. That's what I can't forget. I still check my back seat before I get in my car. Every single time. I still look over my shoulder in parking lots. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder if someone else is out there right now. Watching someone. Waiting. Building their nest in the shadows. Learning their schedule. Planning their move. And that person they're watching? They have no idea. Not yet. Not until it's almost too late. I bought a display laptop from Best Buy for $40 on clearance. When I got home and opened it, there were files still on the hard drive. Photos. Hundreds of them. All taken from inside people's homes. Through their windows. While they slept. And in the last folder, dated that same day, there were photos of my house. My name is Adrian. I'm 26, living just outside Phoenix, Arizona. This happened the week before Thanksgiving in November 2021. I'm not usually a Black Friday shopper. The crowds, the chaos, the people fighting over TVs, it's not my thing. But I needed a new laptop for work, and Best Buy had this insane early deal posted online. A high-end gaming laptop, normally $1,500, marked down to $400 because it was a return floor model. I got to the store around 10:30 p.m. on Wednesday night. They'd opened early for Black Friday preview hours. The place was already packed, but I made a beeline for the computer section. When I got there, the laptop I wanted was gone. Completely sold out. But there was one display model still sitting on the shelf, powered on, showing a demo screensaver. A yellow clearance sticker on it read, "SIS $40 all sales final." $40 for a $1,500 laptop? Even if it had some issues, that was insane. I grabbed it and headed to checkout. As I was walking through the store, this guy appeared next to me. Mid-40s, greasy hair, stained jacket, but wearing an official Best Buy employee badge that said, "Derek Tech Support." "That one's got problems," he said, gesturing to the laptop box under my arm. "For $40, I'll take my chances," I replied. His expression changed. Something in his eyes went dark. "You really shouldn't take that one. Trust me. Let me get you a different model from the back." "I'm good, thanks." He grabbed my arm. Not hard, but firm enough to stop me. "I'm serious. That laptop has issues. You don't want it." I pulled my arm away. "Dude, I'm buying it. Let go." He stared at me for a long moment, then released my arm and smiled. But it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that made my skin crawl. "Your funeral," he muttered, then disappeared back into the store. I checked out, loaded the laptop in my car, and drove home to my apartment complex on the east side of Phoenix. I lived alone in a ground floor unit. Nothing fancy, but it had a nice patio that faced a small courtyard with a pool. I got home around midnight. Unpacked the laptop on my kitchen counter. It powered on fine, no obvious issues. But when I went to reset it to factory settings, I noticed something weird. The previous owner hadn't wiped the hard drive. There were still user files, documents, photos, videos. I know I should have just formatted it immediately, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked on the photos folder. What I found made my stomach turn. Thousands of images. All taken from outside people's homes. Through windows. Some during the day, but most at night. Families eating dinner. People watching TV. Couples arguing. Kids doing homework. These weren't random snapshots. They were deliberate. Carefully framed. Some had timestamps spanning back 3 years. Whoever owned this laptop before me had been systematically photographing people in their homes without their knowledge. I kept scrolling, my hands shaking. Then I reached a folder labeled Current November 2021. I clicked it. The first photo was of a woman in her kitchen, taken through her window at night. The next was a man on his couch, completely unaware. Then a family at their dinner table. I clicked to the next image and my blood froze. It was my apartment. my living room. Taken through my patio's sliding door. The photo was timestamped from 2 nights ago. Tuesday, November 16th, 10:47 p.m. Someone had been outside my apartment, in the dark, photographing me through my window while I was home. I clicked to the next photo. Same angle, different timestamp. Monday night. Sunday night. Saturday night. He'd been watching me all week. I clicked forward. More photos. Different angles. Some from the courtyard. Some from between the buildings. One taken from so close to my patio door that you could see the reflection of the camera flash in the glass. The most recent photo was from that very night. 6:23 p.m. 4 hours ago. Before I'd even gone to Best Buy. I slammed the laptop shut, my mind racing. The employee at Best Buy. Derek. The one who tried to stop me from buying it. The one who got weird when I insisted on taking it. The one who said your funeral when I left. He'd been trying to get the laptop back. Because he was the one who'd been taking these photos. And now I had all the evidence of what he'd been doing. I grabbed my phone to call the police, but then I heard it. A sound outside my patio door. Footsteps on the concrete. I froze. My patio light was off. The courtyard was dark. But I could see a shadow moving outside the glass. Someone was standing there. Watching. I slowly backed away from the window, phone in hand. My apartment door was across the room. If I ran for it, I'd have to pass directly in front of the patio door. Whoever was out there would see me. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You should have listened to me. Another buzz. Another text. I need that laptop back. Another. Open the door and we can talk about this. I didn't respond. I was trying to dial 911 when the patio door handle started to turn. It was locked, thank God. But then I saw him through the glass. Derek from Best Buy. Still wearing his employee uniform. Holding something in his hand that reflected the pool lights. A knife. He pressed his face against the glass, his breath fogging it up. I just want the laptop, Adrian. That's all. Give it to me and I'll leave. I promise. How did he know my name? Then I remembered, I'd used my credit card at checkout. My name was on the receipt. I'm calling the police, I shouted. He smiled. Go ahead. By the time they get here, I'll be long gone. But you won't be. He raised the knife and slammed it into the glass. The first hit created a spiderweb crack. The second hit shattered a hole. The third hit was enough for him to reach through and unlock the door from the inside. I ran. Straight out my front door, into the apartment complex hallway. Behind me, I heard my patio door slide open. He was inside my apartment. I sprinted down the hallway, pounding on doors as I passed. Help! Call 911! Someone help! No one answered. It was past midnight. Everyone was asleep or ignoring me. I hit the stairwell and ran up to the second floor. My plan was to get to a friend's apartment. Marcus lived in 2B. I'd be safe there until police arrived. I reached Marcus's door and pounded on it. Marcus! Open up! It's Adrian! No answer. His lights were off. He wasn't home. I heard footsteps in the stairwell. He was coming. I ran further down the second floor hallway, trying other doors. All locked. No one answering. I reached the end of the hallway, a dead end, and realized my mistake. I trapped myself. I turned around. Derek was standing at the other end of the hallway, silhouetted by the stairwell lights behind him. He was walking slowly, deliberately, the knife hanging at his side. You know what's funny? He called out. I've been watching you for 9 days. I know your schedule. I know you live alone. I know which window doesn't lock properly. I know everything about you, Adrian. But you just learned my name 2 hours ago. He was right. I knew nothing about him except that he worked at Best Buy and was completely insane. Why are you doing this? I asked, my back against the wall. Because you have my entire collection on that laptop. 3 years of work. Hundreds of subjects. And if the police see those photos, I'm done. So I need it back. And I need you to not exist anymore. Simple math. He was 10 feet away now. That's when I noticed the fire alarm on the wall next to me. I pulled it. Immediately, the entire building erupted in sound. Sirens blaring, lights flashing, doors opening as residents stumbled out of their apartments. Derek stopped, realizing his opportunity was gone. Within seconds, the hallway was filled with confused, half-asleep people. He looked at me one more time, then turned and ran back toward the stairwell. I collapsed against the wall, surrounded by neighbors asking what was happening, and managed to gasp. Called the police. Now, police arrived within minutes. I told them everything. Showed them the laptop, the photos, the texts, the broken patio door. They found Derek's car still in the parking lot. He'd run but hadn't gotten far. They arrested him 2 blocks away, hiding behind a dumpster. When they searched his apartment, they found even more. Hard drives full of photos. Lists of names and addresses. Equipment for breaking into homes. He'd been doing this for years, and I wasn't his first victim. 3 families in my complex alone had been on his watch list. He'd been inside 2 of their homes while they were gone, setting up cameras. The detective told me that if I hadn't pulled that fire alarm, there's a good chance Derek would have killed me and disappeared with the laptop. They'd been looking for him for months after another victim reported a break-in, but they never had enough evidence to connect him to anything. The laptop I bought for $40 ended up being the key to putting him away for decades. But here's the part that still haunts me. When they searched his employee records at Best Buy, they found something disturbing. Derek hadn't been scheduled to work that Wednesday night. He wasn't supposed to be there at all. He'd come in specifically because he saw online that the display laptop, his laptop, had been marked for clearance. But the thought of all the others he watched who never knew, and the terrifying possibility that he wasn't the only one doing it. On my last night shift at Target, I found something in the storage room that wasn't supposed to exist. A section of the warehouse that wasn't on any floor plan. A door that led to a room full of employee photos. Hundreds of them. All taken while they were working. And at the bottom of each photo, written in red marker, was a date. The date they quit. Or the date they died. My name is Marcus. I'm 24. And this happened in February of 2022 at a Target in Spokane, Washington. I was working overnight inventory, basically counting stock and organizing the warehouse from midnight to 8 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday. It was a good gig for a college student. The pay was decent, the work wasn't hard, and I could listen to podcasts while I worked. Most importantly, I never had to deal with customers. Just me, 2 other stalkers, and occasionally a manager doing paperwork in the office. That particular Saturday night, February 12, 2022, we were short-staffed. Usually there were 4 of us, but it was just me and 2 others, Jessica, who worked grocery, and an older guy named Raymond who handled electronics. I was assigned to the back warehouse. My job was simple: verify inventory counts against the computer system, reorganize pallets, and make sure nothing was misplaced. The warehouse was huge, easily the size of the actual store, with aisles of steel shelving that went 20 feet high. Around 2 a.m., I was deep in the warehouse checking toy inventory when my scanner started acting weird. The screen kept glitching, showing random numbers and letters that didn't match any SKU codes. Then it completely froze. I tried resetting it, but nothing worked. I'd have to go to the tech station in the manager's office and swap it out for a backup scanner. The office was at the far end of the warehouse, past all the storage aisles. As I walked there, I noticed something strange. One of the emergency exit lights, the ones that are supposed to stay on 24/7, was flickering. Not like a dying bulb. Flickering in a pattern. On off, like Morse code. I stopped and stared at it, trying to count the pattern, when I heard something behind me. Footsteps. Not the heavy boots of Raymond or Jessica's sneakers. These were different. Slow. Deliberate. Dragging slightly, like someone was limping. I turned around. The aisle I just walked through was empty. But I could still hear the footsteps. Getting closer. Jessica? Raymond? That you guys? No answer. The footsteps stopped. I stood there for what felt like a full minute, listening to nothing but the hum of the warehouse lights and the distant sound of the building's HVAC system. Then I saw it. At the far end of the aisle, barely visible in the shadows between the pallets, someone was standing there. Completely still. Facing me. I couldn't make out any details. The overhead lights in that section were off, leaving only the dim emergency lighting. But I could see the outline of a person. Tall. Thin. Arms hanging at their sides. "Hey!" I called out. "Store's closed. You're not supposed to be back here." The figure didn't move. Didn't respond. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the spot where the person had been standing. Empty. No one there. My heart was pounding. I wasn't the type to believe in ghosts or supernatural bullshit, but what I'd just seen didn't make sense. There was nowhere for someone to hide that quickly. The pallets were stacked solid. The nearest door was 50 feet away. I walked quickly to the manager's office, constantly looking over my shoulder. When I reached the office door, I noticed it was already unlocked and slightly open. That was wrong. The office was supposed to stay locked when the manager wasn't there. Only the overnight supervisor had a key, and she wasn't working that night. I pushed the door open slowly. The office was dark except for the security monitor screens mounted on the wall. 6 screens showing different sections of the store and warehouse. But they weren't showing live feeds. Every screen was playing the same footage. The same aisle. The same timestamp. July 3, 2019. 2:47 a.m. I watched the footage. It showed a young guy working in the warehouse, organizing boxes on a pallet. He kept looking around nervously, like he sensed something was wrong. Then, in the background of the frame, someone appeared. Just standing there. Watching him. The guy in the footage didn't notice at first. He kept working, his back to the figure. The figure started walking toward him. Slowly. Deliberately. That's when the guy finally turned around and saw them. His mouth opened like he was about to scream, and then... static. Every screen cut to static. And in the reflection of the screens, I saw someone standing behind me in the office doorway. I spun around. No one there. But the doorway was open wider than I'd left it. And I could hear those same dragging footsteps in the hallway outside. I grabbed the backup scanner from the desk and ran. Not toward the store floor where Jessica and Raymond were, but deeper into the warehouse. Why? Because I heard the footsteps coming from the direction of the store. Whatever this was, they were blocking my exit. I ran past aisles of shelving, my flashlight beam bouncing wildly. Behind me, I heard items crashing to the floor. Boxes being knocked off shelves. The footsteps getting faster. Closer. I reached the back corner of the warehouse, a section we called dead storage, old inventory that never sold, seasonal items from years ago, broken equipment. I ducked behind a pallet of Christmas decorations from 2018 and tried to catch my breath. Everything went silent. No footsteps. No crashing. Just my own breathing and heartbeat. Then I heard something that made my blood run cold. My own voice. "Jessica? Raymond? That you guys?" It was exactly what I'd said earlier. The same tone. The same words. But I wasn't saying it. Something else was. "Hey! Store's closed. You're not supposed to be back here." My voice again. Being played back to me from somewhere in the darkness. I looked around the pallet. Through the gaps in the shelves, I could see a figure moving between the aisles. But something was wrong with the way it moved. Too smooth. Too fluid. Like it was gliding rather than walking. and it kept stopping at random spots, tilting its head, listening. It was hunting me. I needed to get back to the others. I waited until the figure moved to a different aisle, then I ran. Sprinted as fast as I could toward the door that led to the store floor. I burst through the door and found Jessica restocking shelves in the cereal aisle. "Marcus! Jesus, you scared me. What's wrong?" I was breathing so hard I could barely speak. "Someone's in the warehouse. They've been following me. We need to call the police." "Following you?" "Marcus, there's no one else here. It's just us three. I saw them on the security footage, and they were in the warehouse just now. I heard them." Jessica looked at me like I was losing my mind. "The security system has been down all night. The screens aren't showing anything." "What?" "No, I just saw footage from 2019. Marcus, the system crashed when we clocked in. It's been showing error messages for hours. The manager knows about it. It happens sometimes." That didn't make sense. I just watched footage on those screens. Clear as day. Unless what I'd seen wasn't real. Or it wasn't current. "Where's Raymond?" I asked. Jessica frowned. "He's in electronics, I think." "Why?" "I need to check something. Come with me." We walked together to the electronics section. Raymond was there, unpacking new phones from boxes. "Raymond, have you been in the warehouse at all tonight?" He looked up, confused. "No. I've been here all night." "Why?" "Have you seen anyone else in the building? Anyone who's not supposed to be here?" "Just us three, man. You okay?" I wasn't okay. Nothing about this was okay. I needed to see that security footage again. I needed to prove I wasn't losing my mind. Jessica and Raymond followed me back to the manager's office. When we got there, the door was locked. Deadbolt from the inside. "That's impossible," Jessica said. "There's no way to lock it from the inside. The deadbolt only works from the outside." I pounded on the door. "Hello? Is someone in there?" No answer. Raymond pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the overnight supervisor. This is above our pay grade." While he called, I noticed something on the floor near the door. A piece of paper. It looked like it had been slid under the door gap. I picked it up. It was a photo, printed on regular copy paper. Black and white. The photo showed the warehouse. The same section where I'd been hiding earlier. Behind the Christmas decoration pallets. And in the photo, crouched exactly where I'd been crouching just minutes ago, was me. But I wasn't alone in the photo. Standing directly behind me, face inches from the back of my head, was a figure in dark clothing. Their hand was outstretched, reaching for my shoulder. And their face was wrong. Distorted. Like a photo that had been stretched and warped. The eyes were too large. The mouth was open too wide. At the bottom of the photo, written in red marker. "Marcus, February 12th, 2022. Today's date." "What the hell is that?" Jessica whispered, looking at the photo over my shoulder. Before I could answer, we heard a sound from inside the office. Not footsteps. Not voices. Static. Loud, overwhelming static, like dozens of TVs all tuned to dead channels. And underneath the static, barely audible, a voice. My voice. "Help me. Please. Someone help me." Raymond's call to the supervisor went to voicemail. We were alone. "We're leaving," I said. "Right now. All of us. We're walking out the front door and not coming back. We can't just leave," Jessica protested. "We'll get fired." "I don't care. Look at this photo. Something is seriously wrong here." Raymond was staring at the locked office door. "Marcus, when did you start working here?" "What? When did you start? What was your first shift?" "Last month. January 15th. "Why does that matter?" Raymond's face went pale. "Because I remember you. I remember you starting." But what?" But I also remember someone else named Marcus. He worked here a few years ago. Overnight inventory. Same position as you. Jessica's eyes widened. Oh my God! I remember that too. He quit suddenly. Just stopped showing up one night. No, Raymond corrected her quietly. He didn't quit. He disappeared. During his shift. They found his scanner and his phone in the warehouse, but he was gone. Police searched the whole building. They never found him. I felt like I was going to be sick. When? When did this happen? Raymond thought for a moment. July 2019. July 3rd, I think. The date on the security footage. That's not the same person, I said, my voice shaking. That can't be me. I wasn't even working here then. I know, Raymond said. But you look just like him. Same height. Same build. Same name. When you started, I thought maybe you were related to him or something. But I never asked because it felt weird. The static from the office suddenly stopped. The deadbolt clicked. The doors slowly swung open. Inside, the security monitors were on. All 6 screens showing the same thing. Live footage. Current timestamp. 3:47 a.m. And on every screen, we could see ourselves. Standing in the hallway outside the office. Looking at the monitors. But on the screens, there was a 4th person with us. Standing between Jessica and me. The figure from the warehouse. The one I'd been running from. But we were only 3 people in that hallway. The figure on the screens turned its distorted face toward the camera. Toward us. And smiled. Run! I screamed. We ran. Through the warehouse, through the store, toward the front entrance. Behind us, every light in the building started flickering. Items started falling off shelves. The sound of static filled the air, growing louder and louder. We reached the front doors. I swiped my employee badge to unlock them. Access denied? What? I tried again. Access denied? Raymond tried his badge. Jessica tried hers. All denied? The emergency exit! Jessica pointed to the side of the building. We ran to it and slammed into the push bar. The alarm didn't sound. The door didn't open. We were trapped. And then, all at once, every light in the building went out. Complete darkness. In that darkness, I heard the dragging footsteps again. Multiple sets now. Coming from different directions. Surrounding us. I turned on my phone flashlight. In the beam, I saw them. Figures. Dozens of them. Standing throughout the store. In every aisle. Behind every checkout counter. All wearing Target employee uniforms. All standing perfectly still. All staring at us. And all of them had the same distorted, wrong faces. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it. It was a photo. The same style as the one I'd found outside the office. But this photo showed the 3 of us. Right now. Huddled together by the emergency exit. Surrounded by those figures. And at the bottom, 3 names written in red marker. Marcus February 12, 2022. Jessica February 12, 2022. Raymond February 12, 2022. All with today's date. Another text came through. Just one word. Stay. Then another word. Forever. The lights came back on. We were alone in the store. No figures. No distorted faces. Just us 3, standing by the emergency exit. My employee badge suddenly worked. The door unlocked. We burst outside into the parking lot, into the cold February air, into reality. We sat in my car for an hour, none of us speaking, all of us shaking. When the morning shift supervisor arrived at 7 a.m., we told her everything. She looked at us like we were insane. Checked the security system, completely functional. No error messages. No static. No footage from 2019. She reviewed the overnight footage. It showed us working normally all night. No running. No chasing. No figures in the warehouse. It showed me entering the manager's office at 2:15 a.m. to swap my scanner. The footage showed me spending 2 minutes in there, then leaving. But I remember being chased through the warehouse for what felt like half an hour. The timestamps didn't match my memories. We all quit that day. Didn't even finish the shift. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. 2 weeks after I quit, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a single photograph. It showed the Target warehouse, the section I'd been hiding in. In the photo, barely visible in the shadows on a high shelf, were items that shouldn't be there. Employee badges. Dozens of them. All clipped to what looked like uniforms. And in the center of them all, still clean and new, was my badge. The one I'd turned in when I quit. But according to the timestamp on the photo, it had been taken in July 2019, 3 years before I was ever hired. I never went back to that Target. Never drove past it. Never even went to another Target store. But sometimes, late at night, I get text messages from that unknown number. Just photos. Photos of me. At my current job. At my apartment. Walking to class. Always from slightly too far away. Always from an angle that suggests someone is hiding. Watching. And at the bottom of each photo, written in red marker, is a new date. A date in the future. I don't know what it means. But I'm terrified I'll find out. Because the last photo I received was taken yesterday. And the date written on it? Tomorrow.